Hello to everybody crushing deadlifts beyond your wildest imagination. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, one phone call. No names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hi, everybody. Chris Gethard here. I know not everybody loves a long intro. Skip about, I'd say, 7-8 minutes. I didn't time this one perfectly, but I think 7 or 8 minutes. You'll be towards the beginning of the call. I'll time it better next time. My bad on that. All right, enjoy. Hi, everybody. Chris Gethard here. Welcome to Beautiful Anonymous. I'm so psyched that you're listening. I'm so psyched that we still get to do this show. I think today's call is going to be one that's going to help a lot of people. I think it's real, it's raw, it's honest, and it deals with one of the last taboo things we talk about, at least here in America. We still feel we walk on eggshells so much talking about grief. We're going to talk about it in a big way. I will speak more to that momentarily. Just wanted to say, first of all, if you're hearing this intro and any major world events have happened in the past week or so, I'm not going to be addressing them. If that is weird, it's because I'm sort of on vacation, on a working vacation. I got hired to go teach some improv workshops in Mainz, Germany. I want to thank the beautiful anonymous listener. I had mentioned Mainz. I was saying Mainz in a previous episode. Someone reached out and told me it's pronounced Mainz. Thank you for that. So this is the couple of weeks where we're recording a bunch of stuff early so I can just go be in Germany with my wife, Hallie, and teach some improv workshops and then roam around Germany and see what that's all about. So thank you for that. And I also want to say, too, cool thing in my life that I just want to say thanks to everybody who's supported me. You know, I've made a lot of choices that, by the standards of the entertainment industry, have not been smart. I never moved to Los Angeles. I never went and did pilot season. I took my foot off the gas at certain times when it felt like that was the best for my own mental health and sanity and to be a good husband, to be a good dad. I've steadfastly been dedicated to New Jersey, which has never been a cool place to be. And I've dived into things like volunteerism, and a lot of you have heard about the nonprofit work I've been doing through Laughing Together in recent years. And I've always done things my own way, and I am proud of that, although sometimes it just creates some headaches or some speed bumps in my life. But I was able to finally announce that I found out recently that I was given access to this fellowship. I'm a fellow. There's 26 fellows as part of this thing called the Michael D. Eisner Arts Leadership Fellowship, I believe is the official name. I may have gotten that slightly wrong. I should never get it wrong. It's a huge honor. It's all being run through the Aspen Institute, which is this really wildly influential organization. I'm now also part of something called the Aspen Global Leadership Network. And for the next 2 years, I'll be participating in this fellowship where for a week at a time, 4 or 5 times in the next couple of years, I will be flying to areas where I'll sit down with these other 25 people. And we are being told that the expectation is that we will have a number of conversations specifically looking at how to guide the impact of the arts in coming years. On a global scale, that's the expectation. Go have conversations with these other people, and we expect these conversations to have real cultural impact on how the arts are used and utilized and viewed moving forward. And I'm telling you, when they gave the list of the people, I got the thing. It was crazy. Someone had to nominate me. He filled out a ton of paperwork. Then I had to fill out all this paperwork. Then I had to go get interviewed. And I thought I blew the interview because I turned into like a little class warrior in there in a way that I walked away going, man, that might not have been a good look. And then it turns out I think it was actually very refreshing for them to anyway, I'm rambling, but I found out I got this thing and I was so like, whoa, I didn't think I would have gotten that. And then I looked at the list of the other 25 people, and some of these people, it's all public info, but I mean, some of these people are like CEOs and artistic directors of hugely influential organizations that I admire, places where I don't necessarily feel like I necessarily have a place in the room at all times. You know, when it feels fancy to me, I shut down. I am really in touch with my background as a working class person, and I would think a working class artist. And even as I've grown as an artist, and even as financially, there have been some years where I've succeeded in ways, I've always really still felt like what I want to do is roll my sleeves up and work. That's what I want to do. And when I succeed as an artist, I've always had the perspective, so much of this is, can I provide a roof over the head for myself and the people who love me, my family? Can I be getting health insurance through the arts? Those are working class values and goals. So I'm promising everybody, I'm promising you, the beautiful anonymous listeners who have supported me for over 10 years, I'm not going to let that imposter syndrome get in the way of this. I'm not going to let my own self-doubts and insecurities about that trip me up on this. To be invited into this room and to feel like I'm somebody who has, in a lot of ways, stumbled into a life in the arts, but maybe the perspective of somebody whose family does not come from the arts, who never had the luxury of being able to have anybody else's support except going out and making it work for myself. Maybe that's a voice that's super valuable in this room. Somebody who's really seen the positive effects of the labor movement in the arts and who's tried to participate as a union member. I really do think that the arts are under threat in recent years in America. PBS, the Kennedy Center, go right on down the list, NPR. The arts are often politicized. Comedy is often politicized more than even a lot of other arts in ways that I find so strange and negative and clickbaity. The idea that I'm being added to this group of 26 people who are being told, hey, your job is to have conversations on how to make sure the arts remain safe, protected, thriving, vital, that they have more of a positive effect in people's lives. This is a huge challenge. I want to step up to the plate and deliver. But I also know, I've said it in so many ways, Beautiful Anonymous has changed my life. And I'll tell you, I was saying before how I've made some choices that are non-traditional, that maybe sometimes were speed bumps in my life. So much of why I've been able to make choices that felt right for me are because Beautiful Anonymous has been here, both as an outlet for me to connect with people and the very, very real idea that no one I know in the arts stumbles into a job that lasts for 10 years. Beautiful Anonymous has done that. You have allowed me to live my own life my own way. You have allowed me to put food on the table and a roof over my kid's head. And you have allowed me to be somebody who is a free thinker and doesn't owe the powers that be and the systems in place more than I want to owe them. And because of that, I think that those are directly related to why I am able to go and be interviewed for this prestigious thing and shine in a way as somebody who's maybe going to talk a little shit at times, and maybe somebody who's going to have some strong opinions at times. But so much of that is because I have felt a massive amount of freedom as an artist, because the Beautiful Anonymous community has stuck with this project and allowed me the breathing room in life to have it. I can't thank you enough. You're all part of me getting this thing, and I aim to make you all proud. Thank you so sincerely. Okay. This week's episode, I'm going to warn you, absolutely need some content warnings. Don't want to spoil too much, but we're talking about death. We're talking about loss. We're talking about grieving. We're talking about moving on, but not moving on. I'm very impressed by this caller. Out of so many of we've had a running trend of calls that deal with grief, with the loss of loved ones. Some of these are some of the most talked about episodes in the history of the show. Whirlpool Galaxy, Love is Everywhere. There's a running trend of heavy hitter episodes of Beautiful Anonymous where we talk about personal relationships with loss and grief, and how that reflects itself as societal relationships with conversations surrounding grief. And this caller, I will say, I'm so impressed by. This caller reserves the right to go, I will decide how much I move on, and if and when that happens. And the story is not about how I move on. The story might actually be about what are the ways which I decide to hang on and not move on. That's up to me as well. It's really an interesting perspective that I haven't totally heard presented in this way before. The caller did express at one point that speaking this all out loud felt like getting a weight off her chest. I'm happy to provide that. And I also am so happy to know that there's a lot of people out there who the conversations about grief and about quote unquote moving on or not happen internally. And they happen in a way that feels uncomfortable. I think that's something we've got to change. And I think this call is going to help a lot of people through their grieving processes if they're dealing with them. So thanks to this caller. Thanks to all of you for supporting the show. BeautifulAnonymous.com. If you want the stuff that lives behind the paywall, enjoy the call.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, I didn't know you were
Hi.
here.
Sorry, I switched ears at the same time, so it's like, did it beep? And then I missed you, but you're there.
No, it's okay. I thought I was just doing an audio test for Andrea when I said hello, hello, and then you actually answered, and I
did. I'm hello, hello, I'm here.
I got very scared.
Do you need to do more audio testing before the phone call?
No, Andrea wouldn't patch you through. I don't know why Andrea's trying to give me whiplash and just blindside me with it, but we're good. We're solid.
Surprise, I'm here.
Hi. Well, how's it going? How's your day?
It's good. It's good. I'm going to take my lunch break, which I never do because I saw this post and I called and got through. So I'm going to step away from my computer.
That's awesome.
Actually take my break.
I'm glad to give you an excuse to take the break that it sounds like you deserve every day. Yes.
So, yeah. I'm really excited that I got through. I had just started actually recently listening to your podcast and the good that you do for the people out there. So I'm really glad I was able to get through.
Thanks for listening. I'm always psyched to hear when someone new has found it in recent years. That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. It's, I've followed you from, well, you're one of my favorite roles that you've ever been in as a comedian is by far in The Office. But
thank you so much.
I found your podcast and I love it.
Look at that. So you're into season 9 of The Office after Steve Carell left. When I would argue the show finally hit its stride is after Steve Carell left. And you discovered me there, and now we get to talk on the phone. That's awesome.
Yes.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I like I said, I've only started recently listening, so I don't even know where to start. There's so many areas or avenues to go down, I suppose.
I'm happy to follow you anywhere. My role on the show is to just be a listener, help nudge things in directions that seem interesting. I'm here for you. We can chit chat for a while if you want to ease into it, or we can, sometimes people just drop bombs out of the gate. It's yours. It's yours to do with what you will.
Yeah. I mean, she asked me a little bit about myself and I gave history. I'm young. I'm under 40 and I've been widowed. It'll be 5 years next month.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. It was cancer and I work in oncology. So I was there and I was able to support him every moment of the way. And so that's just a big defining part of my life, I feel like. And that's like the before and after. But doing okay in the after, I suppose.
When you say you were there to support him every step of the way, was that just via your training or was he actually a patient at a place where you work?
Actually, both, because I've worked in oncology for about 10 years myself. And so I worked in a hospital and I was able to take care of him at home and like kind of navigate the oncology world for him. And he actually was treated locally in the office that I worked at. I live on the East Coast and he was treated in a very popular area down south. And like we were able, like that's where his treating doctor was. And then he was able to get care closer to our home, which is where I worked. So I worked at that office for about 8 years. And after he passed, I lasted a little longer there, but, going in and out every day where he would be, sleeping away and hearing him snoring to not seeing him was really hard. So I left the practice for a bit, but I did make my way back. It'll be a year that I've been back next month. So it's good. I'm back in the right spot, but I needed a break. It was hard to be in a place that he wasn't there every day, and I miss him a lot. So,
of course, I can't imagine. Yeah. And you said you've been back about a year.
Yep. So I left the job. I went to an interim space for a little bit. I stayed where I worked for probably about 2.5 years after he passed away, and then I found another job just to kind of step back and not be reminded of that day in and day out, and not being with oncology patients. And then I had an opportunity to go back in a role that was different and into a different building, which is a huge part. It's not the space he was in. So I took the opportunity to go back, and I'm glad I did, because my coworkers are great. And it's nice to know people that knew him and be able to talk about him, which is a huge, everyday grieving part of it. I mean, it's been 5 years, but I still miss him every single day.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine working in the place where he passed. It's so unique and in some ways really beautiful, but in some ways so sad.
Mm-hmm. It was nice for me because I had a backdoor way in. I could text the practitioner and be like, I really need hydration, and as he called it, the kit and caboodle, to make him feel well. And I knew that I was going to be able to get that done no matter what. And I was in the right place at the right time, is the way I look at it. Because I lost him and I lost my mom before him. She was diagnosed with cancer the day that he finished radiation, and she died 3 weeks later. So it was just a whirlwind between the two of them.
Wow.
So I was in the right space, and I had the right people in my corner, and I made his life my priority.
Now you've mentioned you work in oncology. Are you a doctor?
I am not a doctor. Oh gosh, no, I don't. I didn't even graduate from college with my associates. They do ask me for the student loans monthly, but no, I've just worked. I worked in a hospital, so I worked closely with nursing staff there, and then I work in an outpatient clinic now, and I've just been kind of in and out of oncology, and I just switched my role recently in what I do at my job to more patient-facing and an avenue for me to learn, which I'm very, very excited about. But I am not a doctor, and I'm not a nurse either. I'm not even clinical in my role, but I've just been in oncology for so long that I kind of understand it a little bit more than I'd like to.
Well,
but
I imagine, and I'll just ask questions, and if there's anything that feels a little too raw, anything where you're I don't know if I want to go there on a public platform, feel free to say the word.
Absolutely.
1,000% respect for that. But it does strike me that you've probably been in a position where you've either been the person, it might sound like at times, or certainly been in the vicinity of people where it becomes clear that someone is not going to make it, and you're giving their family guidance on how to handle that, or what to say, or how it's going to go. And to hear that both your mom and your spouse then passed, and your spouse, it was at your facility, it must give you, such empathy for everyone going through it. And also at times, there must have been times where you were having conversations going, oh, I've had this conversation, or I've given my version of this little speech. I know what this really means. Shit.
Yeah, definitely. And it also put in perspective sometimes when I was angry at people that they got to live and my people didn't. And that was part of the reason that I had to step away, is you hear that bell ring when people finish their treatment, and my people didn't get to do that. And it definitely made me jealous and angry at times. But then I look at it now, I can take my knowledge. I have a high risk of breast cancer in my family. And so I do a lot of imaging. And I was talking to somebody recently, and she's like, oh, I don't know what to expect with a breast MRI. And I was like, oh, I got this. I explained the whole thing for her. It just puts it in perspective. I can share my knowledge. And as my husband used to say, pop tea, power of positive thinking. And how I try to navigate the world. And I took that from him, like, shit happens, and he did whatever he could to make it not happen for others. And like, he donated some, like, his body parts to science after, to his eyes, brain, and spine, to like a surgical or a medical hospital. So it's just knowing if I can kind of carry that legacy from him to others, I should do it the best I can.
Yeah.
So,
and I have to imagine, oh yeah, go for it. I was
just going to say, he was very young. He was only 33 when he died. And he was diagnosed.
Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh. I think 6 years before, because we went a year without surgery for his like diagnosis. And then we did surgery. And we
How old were you guys when you got married?
We got married. I would have been married 11 years this year. I was 26, I think. Yeah, I was 25 or 26, because we had two weddings, a Thursday at 3:30 at Town Hall, and then the next year we did a big wedding in September, and he was diagnosed with his tumor the month after. So we had about a year of like normalcy before he was diagnosed. And then we got the big C diagnosis. Actually, it wasn't even diagnosed as cancer at first. It was just diagnosed as a tumor, and then they did surgery, and then that's when they found out it was a cancer. So it was like a whole year of like kind of just monitoring, and then they did the surgery, and then that's when they found out it was cancer. And then that was in 2017. And then he died in 2021. But
that is brutal. I'm so sorry. So the majority of your marriage was dealing with this.
Yes, 100%. And then I see people out there now that are like sharing their marriage notices, and I didn't have kids, and like, I'm glad. Part of me is like, I couldn't have handled kids between losing my mom and then taking care of him. After I lost my mom, I just drank for an entire year. Like, me and Tito's were like biffles. I had a lot of sweaters. Remember the sweaters that they used to put on the Tito bottles? I had a lot of those laying around. And then I stopped drinking after I lost my mom, like a year after. But I couldn't imagine trying to navigate having children with him and like taking care of two people at once. But it makes me mad when I see people's like announcements of their pregnancies, and I like want to congratulate them, but then I'm like, I can't do it. I'm happy for you, but I just can't talk to you because it makes me jealous.
I think that's totally fair. I think it's fair to be in your profession and understand that someone else ringing the bell is great for them, and intellectually you're happy to hear that they're ringing the bell, but emotionally it brings up some bitterness, brings up some pain. I think it's fair to see other people making those major life announcements at certain points in their marriage, and to sit there and go, damn, ours was defined by sickness, by loss, by pain. I think it's totally fair, 100% fair, to feel any amount of anger you need to feel at other people's happiness. And I don't even think those people would begrudge you for it. I think it would be, it certainly sounds a lot better than collecting Tito's sweaters, which I can't say I'm familiar with, because I haven't drank in a while, and tequila was one of the first things I gave up, but certainly I think it's better to have that rage processing than drowning it in alcohol. Yes. Certainly.
Yeah. No. And it's been, my mom's been gone 8 years. So I've been sober 7 years. Or California sober, as I like to say. I smoke a little bit of weed.
Got it.
I live in a state that it's legal. So, but yeah, no, I don't drink alcohol anymore. The anniversary of her passing, I was on the keto diet, and I drank a lot that night. And I woke up the next day at 3 in the afternoon, and I was like, I never want to feel like this again. And then I just stopped drinking. I just stopped.
Yeah.
And I have not drank since. So
now, in one sense, the prolonged nature of your husband's sickness is brutal and life-defining for you in so many ways. You had a marriage. You were young. It went in a direction that nobody would wish. On another sense, you had a lot of time to discuss everything with him, and I'm sure he brought up his feelings on this being so omnipresent in your young marriage. I'm sure he brought up his feelings on his potential passing, and I'm sure that he brought up his feelings about how he hoped you might move forward. And if you're comfortable talking about any of that, I'm really fascinated by it. But as always, if you're not comfortable talking about it, all good.
No, absolutely. For me, a big part of it was I found CrossFit. I hate cardio, but I love lifting weights. And that for me was like that hour where I could step away from everything that was happening and like go to the gym and like lift heavy things and then just like kind of refocus my day. And that's been a huge part of it. But we definitely knew it was coming. We knew that he wasn't going to make it to like his 33rd birthday itself. So we had a really big party for him. And then everybody came, and it was like his cancer was a tumor in his brain. And so he was definitely not the man he changed towards the end. Like his memory was like a huge part of it, but he knew what was coming, and we had this like big party for him. And there was a lot of people that showed up, and it was during COVID. It was outside. And I'll give a caveat that while COVID was an awful time for so many people and we lost so many people, for me, it was time where I got to be home with him and work from home. And like, It was months that I would have been brief time with him, but they were longer because I was working from home and he was too. Like he worked up till the end because he was just going to do what he could do. But we knew it was going to come. And like I said, the donation of his eyes, brain, and spine to the hospital were like his main thing. Like he knew it was coming, and that was like his planning for the future. And he didn't want me to be sad, and I'm still close with his family, and like I talk about him all the time, and I've got some crazy tattoos that like sync up with him and like are for him, and so I see those things and I think about him all the time.
Here's an awkward question. Go for it. No, finish your thought.
No. You say yours, and then I'll go back to my other one.
Well, I mean, hearing that you got into CrossFit, first of all, I've never, CrossFit seems so difficult to me and so impossible, but certainly that is a business model that, the type of activity that you go, if you're dealing with massive amounts of loss and pain and you need to direct it somewhere, man, do I understand the appeal of CrossFit. That's an aspect of moving on. I do wonder, have you been dating? Are you able to do that? I would imagine that it's both touchy in senses of guilt of having found your partner, having met the person who was the one for you, and also some PTSD of linking up with someone again when it so quickly went in the direction it did last time.
Well, that's why I kind of said something about like him not being the same. Living grief is different than is what I went through. It was watching the person that I married slowly disappear. I loved the person he was up until the end, but he was not the same person. And I would go through everything I went through again to be there. I would never change a single thing like that happened, but it was living grief. He was not my partner. He wasn't the same person I married. And so that in context, I did meet somebody else, and I have been with somebody for a period of time. And I think it's hard sometimes for people to see. And like, there was a gap. It wasn't super long, which I feel like I sometimes have to explain to myself and to others. Like, again, living grief is part of it. Like, I've been with my partner now for about 4 years. And so I feel like it's hard to say my husband's gone 5 and I've been with somebody for 4. But it was just finding that right person, which I did. And he understands about my husband. Like, he talks, like he knows his family. He refers to him sometimes like, your husband would have loved this, like, because I talk so much about him. So I did find a partner, and he is very supportive of my past history. Like, I don't ever censor. I talk about my husband all the time. Like, I'll mention his name every day if I need to. Like, and my partner now is really understanding of that. And I'm lucky in that part because he's competing with somebody that he's got no chance with. You know what I mean? Like, I picked my forever person. I just lost him.
Yeah. And I guess as long as he knows that and is aware of that and is accepting of that as part of the grief, is that you're holding space for the memory of somebody else who, as you just said, he's competing with someone he can't compete with. I think that must be difficult, must take the right kind of partner to find who can step into that and not feel feelings of jealousy or insecurity about it. But when you find that person, I'm sure there is a type of warmth and a type of affection for their ability to be understanding that is so, you must be so grateful for it. It must be, in some ways, I would imagine, finding somebody who's humble enough and open-hearted enough to share their love for you with your love for a departed person. There's something actually, I think, very sexy about that, something very enticing about that.
It really is. It's like, I didn't choose to divorce my husband. Like, I would have lived with him. He would have been my forever person. And to know that and my partner now is friends with his family. Like, he's met my husband's like siblings and like supports them in, you know, activities that I go to, and like isn't shy about it. Like, he's really involved when I'm involved, which is really, you know, I was young when I lost my husband. He was 33, but I was younger than him. Like, I'm lucky to have found the person that I found now to kind of like help navigate the after parts of it. Like, I'll talk about my husband all the time, and he was cremated and his ashes are here, and like pretty prominent. Like, we had a cat that we had to put down, but you know, he was like, when we cremated the cat, and my husband was like obsessed with my animals. So we put some of his ashes, like my partner was like, let's do that as soon as we got home with them. And I think that being a widow defines a huge part of me. And I think it's almost like the biggest part of me, which is kind of sad to say, but it was such a big part of my life. But knowing that my partner now supports me with that is huge. I really don't know that I could have found a better person. There was other people like that I talked to in between, but he was definitely by far like the most supportive and understanding. And I'm lucky for that, for sure. But I'll tell you, wishing...
Tell me.
Is nothing I was just going to say, like, going through what I went through, like, it's so crazy to think how young we are to, like, the whole generation we are now. I feel like there's so many people that are going through something similar to what I went through, and it's so scary.
We're going to go ahead and pause there because we have ads. They help run the show. In a conversation as heavy as this one, who wants to cut to ads? Nobody does, but guess what? Our advertisers are why we get to platform such good conversations. So thank you to our advertisers, and we'll be right back. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Data brokers make a profit off your data. It's wild. When you start looking into it, you realize your data is a commodity. There's people out there on the web. They can buy your private details. This is leading to identity theft, phishing attempts, harassment, but you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. I use Delete Me. I have been so impressed by Delete Me. I've said it on the show so many times. I was in a situation where I really felt like things were not as safe and secure as they needed to be. I was in a situation where someone was crossing boundaries online. I felt very exposed as both an individual and as a husband and as a dad, as a homeowner. I felt like it had hit a point where, as someone who has lived as publicly as I have, I said, I cannot have all this data floating out there. And Delete Me found tons of stuff, removed it. I get reports every few months from them on what they're finding. Some of these sites try to add it back on. They find it again. They remove it again. And I tell you, I just have more peace of mind because of the fine work Delete Me is doing. And I personally can tell you what a huge sigh of relief it was to know that Delete Me has my back. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private. Sign up for Delete Me, now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful and use the promo code beautiful at checkout. The only way to get 20% off, go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Enter code beautiful at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/beautiful, code beautiful. This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack and hydration sponsor. IQ Bar is the better-for-you plant protein-based snack made with brain-boosting nutrients to refuel, nourish, and satisfy hunger without the sugar crash. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way to try all the IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 9 IQ Bars, 8 IQ Mix Sticks, 4 IQ Joe Sticks. I love all of their products. I'm very partial to the IQ Mix, which is a zero-sugar drink. It's a mix that hydrates with electrolytes, improves mood, boosts clarity. And I've said it so many times on the show, You will not find a bigger fan of the IQ Joe coffee sticks than my wife, Hallie Bullitt. IQ Joe is a jitter-free instant coffee packed with 200 milligrams of natural caffeine. Comes in 4 different flavors that are better than any brewed coffee. With over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are fueling their busy lifestyles with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Their ultimate sampler pack includes all 3. I have IQ Bars almost every day for breakfast. It's just the best grab-and-go breakfast. Also incredible when you're traveling. You throw a couple in your bag. You always have a snack on hand, and you're not going to all of a sudden have to resort to some, cheap, overly processed nonsense. You just have something good sitting there for the taking. And again, my wife actually flips out, does a dance when she makes her IQ Joe coffee sticks, asked me to get her IQ Joe coffee sticks as a stocking stuffer for Christmas, which I did. IQ Bar and all of their products, very big in our house. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the sampler pack, plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. Text BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. That's BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. Thanks again to the advertisers who help Beautiful Anonymous exist. Now let's get back to the phone call.
It's so crazy to think how young we are to like the whole generation we are now. I feel like there's so many people that are going through something similar to what I went through, and it's so scary.
Yeah. You're also, people are getting married older and older.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll tell you, I'll never get remarried again, I think. I don't think I'd even I don't know that I'll get remarried again. Or if I did, which I don't know that I would, it's so much paperwork. I would never change
the
my
paperwork.
Last name. Yeah.
What about your current partner? Is there any part of him, I'm sure you've discussed it, is there a part of him that would like to be married someday?
Maybe. He was married before too. He's got a daughter,
Okay.
and he and his partner, his wife, were divorced pretty quick. We never really talk about it. I kind of think that we're both closer to 40, content on doing what we're doing. And I don't know that if he did, we could maybe talk about it, but it's a lot of work. I'm adopted, I'm a teenage adoption, not an adopted from an orphanage, but a teenage adoption. And I had to change my name then. And then I got married and changed my name again. So I've done it a few times, and I'll just tell you, if we did, I would never change my name. And that part of me was, with my husband. I want to keep that part of him going with me. That's a huge part of me.
This is a little bit dark to laugh about, but I am struck by, if your husband had never been married, if your partner had never been married before, he was married, he had a kid, that marriage sounds like it didn't last that long. That is, I think, maybe the perfect type of person to enter how would you phrase it, second phase of life partnership with, that will require a lot of understanding in both directions of hey, I don't ever want to get married again. It sounds like you found somebody else who has a lot of reasons. I can't imagine his story, and it's, it's neither yours nor mine to tell, but it sounds like he's I don't want to rush back into that either. I would imagine if you partnered up with someone who had never been through their version of that, if that might be a sticking point. But it sounds like, well, mine ended with a death, yours ended with a divorce. We might be really on the same page about what we want moving forward. It's dark, but there's truth to it.
Dark is my personality. I'll tell you, I have a bunch of water bottles that have stickers on them, and they say kindly fuck off. Let's keep the dumbfuckery to a minimum today. And I'm I swear to God, I really am nice. My water bottle may be scary, but I'm a very nice human being. But dark is definitely kind of my personality. So that goes well with it for sure. Between everything I've kind of gone through, I try to be positive, but there's definitely some dark, snarky comments that go, shooting through your brain.
Well, I'm also able to connect some dots here. And you said you were adopted as a teenager, which
yes,
denotes any number of things. But one thing that it sends up a red flag of is, it sounds like a childhood that didn't have much stability. You married a little younger than, not everybody, but I think the average age of getting married is going up. You were married, I think, on the younger end of the modern spectrum. And it does strike me as particularly brutal that it sounds like you found a partner you wanted to marry. That represents that you feel some sense of safety, safe harbor, stability. And these are things that if you're being adopted as a teenager, I have to imagine there were at the very least stretches where that stability was not there. So then for your partner to immediately be diagnosed with a terminal illness feels so cruel, so unfair. And then your mom, was this your bio mom or the mom who adopted you as a teen that passed?
So I was adopted by a stepfather, and it was for insurance purposes because I was a stepchild and a union insurance couldn't cover. So like my dad and I didn't have a close relationship, and I didn't see him from when I was 12 to 19, my biological father. So my stepfather adopted me, but I've known my stepfather for over 30 years, and he adopted me when I was 15. So for a very long time. So it's like a second choice family. Like they chose me and I chose them. But my mom that did die, she was, we had kind of a strained relationship too at some point, but we were, she was my best friend when she died. And yeah, she was my biological mom, and her primary care doctor is on my shit list because she was also diagnosed with cancer when she died, but she only lived for 3 weeks. And her primary care diagnosed her with pneumonia without a chest x-ray, and she'll forever be my arch nemesis. But, my mom.
And you work in the fields. You worked in the field enough to go. I just couldn't. I'm sure I was trying to
advocate for her as best I could, but like my husband had his surgery in September and then started radiation in November and then finished January 10th of what was that? 2018. Yep. January 10th of 2018. And that is the day that my mom was diagnosed with like pancreatic cancer. So I was trying to help her like figure out what was going on, why she was so tired all the time. And then I was like negative 40 hours at work by the end of all of it. Like trying to navigate everything with her and stuff. And it just was so quick. It was so quick. It fucking sucked.
Yeah, I mean, that is the type of thing that fills you with so much rage. You sign up for CrossFit and start flipping tractor trailer tires.
Yeah, I love deadlift is my favorite by far.
Is that you just think about your mom's doctors and just deadlift the shit out of more weight than you ever thought you could lift off the ground?
Yeah. I won a competition back in, what month was that? November. I've won a few deadlift competitions. We do one.
Well, you're out here winning the competitions.
Mm-hmm. We do a big. I do one at it's for Make-A-Wish for kids, and we raised $90,000 the last one we did in November of 25.
When you say is that the whole competition, or you?
Yep, the whole competition. So we do like a Make-A-Wish fundraising page, and we all share them, and like people will donate. So I have people from, it's not my gym that hosts it; it's another local gym. So like people from my gym will donate, people from my work donate. But it's such an amazing event also for, kids they don't necessarily have to be terminal anymore for Make-A-Wish, but they always have a little kid that will come up and speak before the event, and it makes me so happy. But yeah, I deadlifted 365 pounds. So that made me
And what does what exactly does a deadlift entail?
You are picking up the bar to like full hip extension. So you're standing all the way up with a very heavy barbell. But yes, so 365 is my number that I've got. I tried the other day for a heavier one, and I didn't make it, but it wasn't the same crowd, so I wasn't surprised.
That's an extreme amount of weight. I've started really committing to try to go to the gym. I want to lose a couple pounds around the belly. Oh, they've been sticking on the metabolism ain't what it used to be. No. And I exclusively use machines. And I
don't know how to use them. They scare the crap out of me.
Really? So you prefer just raw weights? I'll tell you though, like I do the chest press, and I'm not even hitting 100 pounds on there. You're deadlifting 365, a metal off the ground by the bar. You're chalking up and lifting 6 times the amount of weight that I'm throwing down with.
Chest is different though. Like a strict press, we just did those last week, and that's where you just like take the barbell and like you have it resting on like your shoulders, and you push it above your head. I have a dead stop at that. Like 100 pounds is all I can get. So I feel like there's definitely different ways to look at it. And I'm not
trying to make it competitive.
Cardio. I love the weights. Cardio is cardio. Everybody that knows me knows I say that quite often. But I love And I've gone to a Planet Fitness, I've gone to a Crunch, and I stare there and I get so intimidated by every single machine in there. I feel like everybody knows I don't belong. And that's what I love about CrossFit is you tell me what to do. If there's a scale, there's a way. I don't like to jump on I don't like to box jumps. I tripped on a 6-inch box once and I still have PTSD 6 years later, almost 7. And then I don't do like pull-ups. I literally scale everything, but I just love the community and like literally just somebody telling me what to do because I need guidance. Otherwise, I'm just like an idiot in a gym.
Were you someone who was working out a lot, or did you kind of go into CrossFit of like, hey, I'm dealing with a lot of loss and pain because someone want to tell me what to jump off of or flip over now?
Mine was I used to weigh a lot more than I gained a little bit of weight back when I got into a healthy relationship where I wasn't fear of everything happening. I lost a decent amount of weight. Like I did some keto, and then I found like kettlebell boot camp, and I lost about like 75 pounds. Just with diet and exercise. But like after doing keto, I did like a few CrossFit classes and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like I was always intimidated by like the people and the price because it's expensive. But every gym I've gone to has always been so great. They like split my membership for me. So for me, that's a huge part of it because I can't afford like a big chunk of money. But they kind of make it manageable for people. And then they like help you navigate what you need to do. So I found it like definitely, I wasn't healthy as much with my mom, which was hard, but with my husband, it was good to have that. Like he was 6'1", I'm 5'3". So I could like, if he fell, I could pick him up and help him back to bed. Like I could take most of his body weight. If he had to walk somewhere, he could lean on me. So it definitely, that functional fitness piece came to help in my day to day.
Wow.
And now I'm the one, like, hardcore. If you need something, if you need that box of paper lifted up, you let me know. I'll pick it up and move it around for you. No problem.
You've mentioned it a couple times. Keto is not paleo, right? I think of keto as the one where you're just eating tons of meat, but that's paleo.
That's paleo. Keto is the one where you're eating lots of fat and then you can't poop. It's like the cheese and cheese, protein is okay, but carbs are like what you're really avoiding. So it's a lot of like fats and things like that. I did it for a period of time, and it definitely helped like boost the weight loss. And then I did a lot of like measuring and weighing and stuff like that. And I definitely have fallen off the wagon a little bit. I need to refocus. But it takes a lot of work.
Yeah. Pizza's good. Bagels are good. There's a lot of things I really like. Yeah. Living back in North Jersey now with all the comfort foods I grew up with. Very hard.
I can imagine.
Very hard.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I do. I like food a lot. And being California sober, food's extra good at the end of the day.
Oh yeah. It's been a while since I've imbibed, but that was, I did always like an edible, but I would eat half of what, I would wind up, when I lived in New York City, I would just wander the streets of New York eating all the food. I would just I would take an edible twice a year and I would then wander. I would like Pac-Man style, just consume everything in my path.
I can imagine that as you say it like that. Yeah. I know that's for me. It's like I need to food prep and like have stuff at home when I want a snack that I can eat, but I have to be better about it. But sometimes I'm just lazy. Although I love to cook. It just takes so much time. And working like your normal hours, there's just not enough time in a day some days.
Can I ask what I think will be a tough question? Because I like us chit-chatting about the munchies. Certainly there's space for it. And also like you're a well-rounded human. But in thinking about your story, you've mentioned that this is omnipresent. You have tattoos dedicated to your husband. You have a partner right now who you're really happy with, but who is aware that there's certain space your new partner cannot box out. All of that's so deep. Should the day come when you get to the end of the day and you realize, oh, wow, I haven't thought about my husband today, is that going to feel like freedom or will that come with guilt?
I think it'd come with guilt still because I live in the space that we share together. Like I live in the home that I purchased with my husband. And I feel like sometimes he was a better person than me. And why did I get to why wasn't it me? And I almost like, when my mom was diagnosed, like right after him, I was like, it felt almost like she was stepping in for him. Like, she's like, he's not done on this earth. I don't really believe in God just because of all the shit I've gone through. Like, I'm just like, but I feel like she took his place and then he got to live longer, and I need to like carry him in me every day. And I feel like there's going to come a day that I don't think of him, but I definitely feel like I don't know how soon that is in the future, because there's so many dates that are connected to him too throughout the year that I feel like it's almost like it's coming up. Like I said, like the anniversary is next month. Like there's always something that is coming up that I'm thinking about for him. Like the anniversary is next month, and then his birthday's the month after, and then my birthday comes up, and then like, you know, I think, and then there's like things like Time Hop that exists on your phone where you then scroll through and see a picture of him, you know, every day like that. So there's always those reminders of him. So I think it'll take a long time for that moment to come. But when it does, the next day that I, you know, think about it, it will make me sad.
I never even considered how much those iPhone photo bullshit things to keep us all hooked in must be torture for people who are grieving loss. Because
like right now it's building up to him dying, because I have the photos of him, like, you know, laying in his hospital, like, because he was on hospice at home. So and again, it was during COVID. So I was here with him all the time, or somebody was, like, towards the end of his life, he wasn't able to be left home alone by himself. Like one morning during COVID, I went to the gym and I came home and he was sitting on the floor, and I was like, how long have you been on the floor? And he's like, I don't remember. And I was like, okay. So like from that point on, we weren't able to leave him home alone. Where was I just going with that? I'm not even stoned and I lost my train of thought. Oh, photos coming up.
The iPhone photo cruelty, the unintended cruelty of iPhone photos popping up without your consent.
Because like I have a picture from him that I saw this morning, like in his hospital bed, his home hospice bed, with like his thumbs up and, you know, getting his hydration and his tube feeding, and like, so I'm building up to those moments. And like I saw the invitation for the party that we had right before he passed away. Like we had a big party for him on a Saturday, like a Saturday that all my family came, and, you know, all of his friends from work. And then, I like got him into bed Saturday night, and then Sunday I was like, oh, he's exhausted. I'll let him sleep all day Sunday. And then I went to get like ready for bed in the evening, and I was like, went to go check on him, and he had like had pneumonia, and he died the day after his party that everybody was here for. So it's like those moments, those photos, they're building up to what's coming. Like, so it's so hard for me to forget. I feel like I think with what we have nowadays, it'll be a long time before it goes a day where I don't think about him.
That's a real answer.
And those tattoos I have, like I have one. I have several matching tattoos to his. Like I have one from a TV show that you were on, Beats Bears Battlestar Galactica. So I have a beat. His sister, who's younger, like she's older now, she's in her 20s, but she has the bear, and he had Battlestar Galactica. And like, so I have pieces of him that I'll forever see and think of too.
I do not want to make this about me, but I was not on Battlestar Galactica. Did you just say I was on Battlestar Galactica? Or is
you were on Battlestar Galactica?
No, I'm saying I wasn't. I thought you were. You're telling me a very sad story, and I'm very much making about me. Oh, That's okay. Andrea's telling me that there is a Battlestar Galactica reference on The Office, and that's what I was on.
Yes,
got it.
Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, you were. Like, remember, that's where I saw you in the first place. And then I'm sorry. And I listened to you on.
I have to say, I'm so humiliated that I just managed to make that very heartbreaking story immediately about me and my resume. I'm pretty awful.
Low key too. Don't be sorry. I did really enjoy you on the podcast with Misha Brown, though, about Action Park.
Thank you so much, but we do not need to start listing my credits as you're explaining to me your grieving process. Literally, I can't believe I did that. Andrea's telling me this is a Dwight thing.
Yes, it is a Dwight thing. It is very much a Dwight thing.
Fair.
Yes. Don't be. I'm like the most easygoing person, and that helps me ease out of a conversation that like I wouldn't really know how to navigate away from, like, to another positive part. So don't be sorry. Well,
I have to tell you, I'm. You know, it's a morbid thought, but I'm left thinking as you are talking, and I think you're in so many ways nailing it. And I say this from this perspective of, I find myself thinking, man, I hope it's not for many years, but if I passed away, I would want my wife to move forward, but I would be pretty flattered if she was to tell a new partner, hey, it's not about first place or second place, but don't get competitive with the memory of my husband. You can't win that battle. I would be pretty flattered by that. I would be pretty thrilled to hear that she was finding a lot of happiness, finding ways to move on, finding ways to get the angerness and the bitterness out, while also knowing that that bitterness and that anger there were still sparks of it that wouldn't extinguish totally. I'd be very flattered by that. I think the ego of that is on target. And I think in so many ways, you are nailing it. I think you are nailing it.
Thank you. I don't always feel that way, but thank you.
Yeah, and I can't imagine you ever would. And I can't, what is the gauge by which you would ever nail? How much are you honoring or not honoring the memory of a lost loved one? I mean, that's a scale that doesn't exist because it would be an insane thing to try to formalize. But I'm just saying, as a husband, if I was the one who passed, I'd go, man, I like this. You're pursuing your own happiness. That's good. And also you're telling everybody who will listen, but don't pretend that I didn't know who my forever person was, because I fucking did. So don't try to fuck with that, and then we'll be cool. That's hugely flattering. And while obviously I did not know your husband, I have to imagine as a husband, I can say wherever, you said you don't believe in God. I have many mixed feelings on the afterlife myself, but if there's an afterlife he's looking down from, I'm sure he's smirking with satisfaction that you're like, hell yeah, that's still my girl.
Yeah. And I don't know that I believe in God. I believe that the people that aren't with me are all together, like playing cards and joking about like the dumb shit I do sometimes. And that's how I look at things. I don't know why, the God thing is hard for me to kind of put into words why I don't, but that's a whole nother.
But card game in the sky, maybe not God, but a card game in the sky works for you.
Yeah, that's what works for me. That's what works for me for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have my mom, when she passed away, I have we put the photo on her little, as she used to call those playing cards. She has that Irish sense of humor that I definitely got from her. But she used to call them playing cards, but her obituary card is a photo of her and I on there, and it was actually a live photo. And you can play that, if you hold a live photo, you can see her laughing, but in the background you can hear my husband's voice. And so that photo is a really cool one for me. But I just had to loop that in when we were, talking about playing cards. But yeah. Yeah.
Were you aware of the power of that photo when they were alive, or did it only reveal itself?
No. It did recently. I feel probably in the last few years. And I just got a new phone 2 weeks ago because I haven't had the opportunity to take photos. I have an iPhone and my lens was broken, and there was no subtlety about me taking a photo. It would go every time I did. So I just got a new photo because I don't want to not have those moments, be able to take them. I'm going to Disney with my sister and my niece and other family next month. And so I really wanted to have the opportunity to take those live photos and have those moments that if you ever look back, you're okay, that happened. But in the background, there's something that you might not even realize is there.
Yeah, that's cool to think about. And an appropriate name, live photos, capturing little live moments. And then you've got one with two incredibly important people who passed, who are just in a non-staged way. There's life to it. There's vitality to it. That's a beautiful thing to stumble into. Painful, but beautiful.
It is. It is. And especially for him, he had a really hard time speaking in the end where his tumor was. And so to hear his voice definitely changed throughout, but to be able to just hear even a part of him, it's cool. Although he did love the Facebook Lives. I stumbled onto those recently, and he used to I don't do it, but he used to drive all the time and like Facebook Live, and then he'd end them like they're just a normal conversation, like, "Hey, talk to you later. Thanks, bye." And I'm like, dude, you were driving. They weren't having a conversation with you. But those are also cool pieces. And again, my partner watched those with me recently, which is cool because I talk about this person and he never really saw or got to hear him. So it was cool to kind of like share those photos the other day.
Do you and your current partner live together?
We do. We have a dog and a cat together.
And this is in the house that you bought with your husband?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
There's things that I'm like, it's hard for me we've changed, like obviously the house that we live in, like I did some construction after my husband passed away, but like there's parts of my husband that I keep, like this crazy cool wall in his office space. And like my partner's daughter will like, her room is the space that used to be my husband's office. And I was like, you can do whatever you want to that space, but you got to leave that one wall with shiplap covered in all different stains and paints as is. So there's definitely, the two of them know, and like they're really great about it, letting him live on.
That's a teenage girl's space is so important to them. Classically, dear, hey, put up whatever poster you want, go for broke, express the hell out of yourself. I want to be there and support that, but don't touch that one part that is a shrine to a deceased person. Don't ever touch that. I mean, it sounds like both your partner and his daughter are fitting into the puzzle pieces as you've laid them out. This is
yes, which is great.
Difficult, but it sounds like they're nailing it. Sounds like they're nailing it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel like my husband's passing is the most interesting part of my story. I don't really feel like I've done much else with my life. So I feel like when I call in, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I don't know that I have anything else that's interesting about me. I feel like that's my defining thing.
Let's pause there. We're going to discuss the truth of that and so many other things when we get back. But in the meantime, we've got some ads. Check them out. Oh boy. So lucky to tell you about Quince. I have made some game-changing moves with Quince recently. A thoughtfully built wardrobe comes down to pieces that mix well and last. That's where Quince shines. Premium fabrics, considered design, everyday essentials that feel effortless to wear and dependable even as the seasons change. Quince has the everyday essentials I love with a quality that lasts. Lightweight cashmere sweaters, short-sleeve Mongolian cashmere polos, linen bottoms and shorts, tees in 100% Pima cotton and European jersey linen. These are the versatile pieces that make a wardrobe actually work season to season. I've decided to up my fashion game. I've been getting into classic men's fashion looks. This is a change I've been making in my life, and I have to tell you, Quince has been huge in this. I recently, from Quince, have purchased both a linen blazer and linen pants for summer wear. Not only did they show up looking and feeling great, but I will tell you, Hallie said, jacket's looking a little tight on you. I was able to see that their return policy was so simple, so easy, and worked quick. It was like lightning fast how quickly I was able to exchange it for a larger size. On top of that, I'm looking right now, I got a stretch trench coat from Quince. It's hanging on the hook in my office. When I wear it, I feel amazing. And just today, the cashmere baseball hat that I ordered from Quince was delivered. I can't wait to go home and try it on. I'm telling you, Quince has all sorts of stuff. Quince has leather products. They have luggage. They have all sorts of accessories on there as well. Everything made out of great materials. Everything at prices that people like us can actually afford. Crushing it. And to be clear, they gave me like a little code as a host to say, hey, go get yourself something nice to talk about in the podcast ad. When I tell you that I have outspent that out of my pocket personally many times over because it is very legit. Such a quality experience, quality products. They last forever. Been using them for years. It's no joke. I'm wearing Quince right now, and that trench coat is such a game changer. It's awesome. Right now, go to quince.com/beautiful for free shipping and 365-day returns. That's a full year to build your wardrobe and love it. And you will. Now available in Canada, too. Don't keep settling for clothes that don't last. Go to quince.com/beautiful for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/beautiful. The fastest growing businesses aren't doing more, they are delegating smarter. Upwork helps you bring in expert freelance help fast so you can delegate and keep moving. Upwork is a one-stop platform to find, hire, and pay expert freelancers across web and software development, data and analytics, marketing, business operations, and more. Upwork helps grow your business by giving you fast access to specialized talent across 125 plus categories, so you can fill skill gaps, launch projects faster, and scale support up or down without committing to full-time headcount. You can browse profiles, review past work, get help scoping the role so you can hire with confidence, and get started quickly. With Business Plus, you can access the top 1% of talent on Upwork, and with AI-powered shortlisting, you'll get matched to the right freelancer in under 6 hours, no endless searching required. Upwork also cuts down operational hassle by handling things like contracts and payments in one place, so you can spend more time running the business. Thousands of growing businesses already trust Upwork to hire flexible, high-quality freelance talent for everything from one-off projects to ongoing support. It's free to sign up, and posting a job is easy. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. Thanks to the advertisers that allow Beautiful Anonymous to exist. Now let's finish the phone call.
I don't know that I have anything else that's interesting about me. I feel like that's my defining thing.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if I would agree just based on what you've said today. I mean, certainly it's a defining thing, maybe the defining thing, but also you continue to work in oncology in a field where you're really helping people in need. You're getting out here, eating so much cheese that you can't poop, but then you're deadlifting 365 pounds.
I no longer eat too much cheese. I do like to snack on cheese, but I gave up on that keto. I eat regular food
Well,
now.
at one point, yeah. You were eating so much cheese you couldn't poop, which the idea that you can't poop but you do lose weight is intriguing to me, but I'll research that on my own later.
No, totally.
But,
and it also, part of it is your hair will, like, I had issues with, like, my hair falling out, and I have, like, thick hair, and I had issues with that. I was like, this is not okay.
I can't risk that.
I'm sorry about that.
I don't have enough hair left to risk that. But I would say, obviously, this is, in many ways, you're probably right, the defining thing about your life experience. Certainly a defining thing about your life experience. But I would not undersell the idea that you're not a dynamic and interesting person without this. I would disagree with that just based on our conversation today, which has mostly been about that. But I think a lot of people don't move on in the way you have. A lot of people don't know how to define the parameters of how you're going to share the rest of your life moving forward. Certainly, a lot of people don't know how to share their living space with a new partner and a teenager while reserving the right to say, here's what needs to just stay unchanged. And you have to come to grips with the fact that you're sharing space with this. I mean, there's so many aspects of you that I think are dynamic and that stand out. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that, well, yeah, obviously this is a majorly defining stretch of your life, losing your husband, losing your mom, all right on top of each other. I wouldn't sell yourself short as a person who's not interesting beyond those things, not even close.
Thank you. Thank you.
If anything, I would say the idea that you're just now living in a city and going to workout classes and going to the supermarket, clocking in at work like everybody else while holding on to this sort of swirling mass of life experience that kind of blindsided you at a relatively young age. And now you have to live decades of your life after all of it. It's, certainly defining, but doesn't erase the fact that there are decades to come. There's still so much time to live and figure out who you are and who you want to be, not as this fades. But in addition to this, there's so many layers of life to put on top of this. And it sounds like you're doing pretty great job considering how much loss kind of smashed into you all at once.
It was a pretty big bus at once, for sure. For sure. I know for me, it's hard. I know that I'm a healthier person than like my family and my generation before, but none of the females on my mom's side have lived over the age of 60. And so for me, that's like a big part of my life too, is like, I'm trying to be as healthy as I can to make sure I pass that mark. Wow. My mom was only 54 and her mom was also, and her sister was 59 and her mom was 59. So it's like, I try to take that healthy part to make it so I have decades later.
Yeah. That's, there's some real clouds. There's some real clouds you have to think about, huh? Some real storm clouds that you have to actively shoo away.
Yes.
When you want them to not be looming.
I've changed my lifestyle. I've made myself healthier. Like my biggest issue, I think, is I like snacks. But other than that, I'm trying to create a new outlook on life, like after everything I've gone through. And, I take it one day at a time, and it's all we can all do. And just be the best you can. And that's how I try to look at it. And I always look at things as it could be worse. Like things could be worse. And well, maybe in the worst moment in life, like you can't always look at it that way, but that's the way I have to, because otherwise you'd lose my mind some days.
I'm impressed that you didn't. I'm impressed that you didn't have more of a stretch where you just needed to check out from polite society for a while and just go rage.
It's hard when you're like the only, like I had to kind of, I did, but I definitely picked up and moved on. And like, I think that those little reminders that I have help me make it through every day. And that's where I'm grateful for the people. Like I said, switching back to my other job is huge for me because I have people that knew my husband and I can talk about him and I can say a story and they're like, oh yeah, he totally was like that. And I feel like that's almost what kind of keeps me going, is like the connection to those people, to his family, to the people that let me talk about that. And then I put other, and then I have normal days. I have very normal days, but those days are the days that I think help me cope with everything. And that's what makes me feel lucky.
I have a friend, his name's Michael Cruz Kane. He's a comedian. He did a really incredible show off Broadway called Sorry for Your Loss. It was about, he had twin sons. Yeah, he had twin sons and one of them passed after about a month. I was friends with him when it happened. It was, as you can imagine, just so brutal and so hard to know. We were just all like comedy friends who know each other through this joyous thing. And now we have one friend who's suffering just an unimaginable amount of pain. And it's actually his special, the streaming service. I'm not trying to do plugs during your story, but if anybody's interested, he filmed it. It's on Dropout, which is a great service full of comedy stuff. But one of the things that was so striking about his show that it sounds like you're very much in tune with in your own way as well is he is kind of the opinion that someone doesn't really pass away if they're still being spoken about and if they're still being remembered and if their impact is still being recognized, that when a person's impact fades really represents their death. I mean, he says it in a really beautiful, well-crafted way, and I'm paraphrasing it. Everyone should go experience it for yourselves. It's a really beautiful, well-done special, but similar to you, the idea that you get to still have conversations with your husband's family, with coworkers who understand the anecdotes, that you are fiercely protective of that one wall in that one room. All of those things effectively extend his life. And I feel like grief and the grieving process is one of the hugely universal, omnipresent experiences we all have, to a degree that it makes no sense how little we discuss and talk about it on a broad level.
It's true. It's true. And we have those things that remind us, like my husband's favorite color was orange. And I'm not a bright person. Like a lot of everything I have is dark clothing. That's like who I am. And it was before that fact anyways. But anytime I can pick something orange, whether it's a Post-it note or a marker to write my workout at the gym, or like anytime I can pick something bright and colorful for him, I will. And that's like, it's those things that will forever carry those memories.
Now I'm from the town of West Orange. That's where I grew up. So now every time I go to my hometown, I'll think of your husband. Every time there's a Syracuse Orange game, the Orange Men.
He would appreciate that in more ways than you can know. He was like literally he was the goofiest motherfucker you would have ever met. He was covered in the weirdest tattoos, and just he was such a personable person. He worked in IT and could have talked to you for like days about anything. And like, so the fact that somebody else that didn't maybe meet him will remember this story and him, he would appreciate that.
Also think about you just giving us that little gift of just knowing his favorite color was orange. And now me being able to underline that, and the fact that there's still, we're 10 years in on Beautiful Anonymous, but there's still tens of thousands of people listening to it, where now I know every person listening is going to have it in their head that if they see something that stands out as orange, they're going to say, I don't even know that one caller's name, but I know her husband passed away and he loves orange. And there's going to be a little moment of remembrance. I'm not going to say every single one, but out of tens of thousands of people, there's going to be enough people out there who just have a little bit of OCD in them that now that's going to spread all over the place. That there's going to be probably hundreds of people who for the rest of their life, when they see orange, they're going to shake their head and be like, Gethard called it. Every time I see orange, I'm now thinking of that one deceased person I didn't even know via his wife, whose name I never knew. But now orange means a little nod and a little raise of the glass to your husband. A little point up towards the card game in the sky as it's unfolding. Because we all know now the color orange means something specific.
Thank you. That's just knowing that little piece is out there. And I'm not an emotional person. It could be the very high dose of Wellbutrin I'm on, but that made me almost tear up. And I appreciate that.
Well, I'm sorry to almost make you tear up. And as a fellow, I was on Wellbutrin for many years. And man, that was a secret weapon for me during some really stressed out times.
I know. I just feel like I got to try to get off of it at some point. I've been on it I feel like there's emotions I should feel that I don't. Because I feel like there's things that I should feel and I don't normally have a reaction. For me to tear up about something is a big thing. Like, I'm very, I care. Like I said, although despite my water bottle, I do care. And I think that the highest dose that you can be on is what I'm on. And I feel like it definitely blocks some of those emotions. And maybe there's more grieving to be had. And I'm afraid of it. And that's why I stay where I stay.
I hear you. Yeah. And if getting there feels like something where you go, I want to experience the full grief and I wonder if there's a bit of a mask on it, totally supportive of that. I would also say too, though, if I could take a pill that allows me to process grief in a way that's as honest and as beautiful as you're processing it and describing it today, and the pill can also help me get out of bed in the morning, there's a lot of good about that too. So I just also want to put that out there of whatever your needs are obviously what you should go for. But I also want to say I'm very much a fan of what all of the mental health meds in my life gave to me over the many, many years I was on them.
Very true. Very true.
Whatever you needed to be.
There's definitely days I couldn't get out of bed for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. And, they're the only class of medications where I think we view it as an accomplishment to someday not be on them. Like nobody would be like, someday I'm not going to need blood thinners. You say, no, you might. You might always need them. No.
Yeah, they're not a lifelong. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you feel like fully processing that grief without them would do you good, I'm all for it.
it would be I might have to take a sabbatical from work if that happened. I can't even imagine. Like, I've been on them for so long.
Sure.
But that's a future me problem, not a right now me problem, as I like to say.
Well, caller, our time together here on the free feed's coming to an end. Okay. And I'm hoping you have a few minutes to hang out. We do this content that lives beyond a paywall, 5 questions to get to know you better. And especially Absolutely. Since you said, that stretch where you said you feel like this is defining, I'm rather excited to talk with you about some aspects of your life that have nothing to do with the stuff you've laid out thus far. So if you're down,
Sounds great.
Hang out. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Caller, very sincerely, thank you so much for calling up, being vulnerable, being open, being honest, talking about your experience with grief. It's not easy. Still feels so present, so raw, so real. I will say, I think in the history of this show, there have been a number of calls that are viewed as some of our most impactful that deal exactly with losing people. Love is everywhere, Whirlpool Galaxy. These are constantly brought up as episodes that people point to as some of the best in the history of this show. And I don't think it's a coincidence that dealing with conversations surrounding grief remains strangely taboo, strangely tense at times for people. Talking about it more will help destigmatize it and help everybody deal with it. And I think you just did your part in a huge way. Obviously, I feel such profound sadness hearing about your story, hearing about the processing of this grief at such a young age. But I think it's so brave and so helpful for so many people. You put it out there. Can't thank you enough. Thank you, obviously, to our producer, Andrea Quinn, the high priestess of Beautiful Anonymous. Thank you to Shell Shag for the theme music, the sound of the show for a decade plus now. Thank you to my friends, Shell Shag. Thanks to everybody who has joined the Facebook group where we discuss the episodes. It's laid back. It's lovely. Thanks to everybody who follows us on Instagram. Thanks to everybody who calls into the show. Most of all, thanks to everybody who spreads word about the show. Letting people know that we exist is the greatest thing you can do to help the show. If you want more with each caller and a whole bunch of other perks, go to beautifulanonymous.com. Sign up for the stuff behind the paywall. It's pretty good stuff back there. Thanks, everybody. This week on Beautiful Anonymous Plus, here's some of what you'll get from the 5 questions.
I have no artistic ability at all. A stick figure all look like they have penises when I draw them.
Did you just say every stick figure you draw appears to have a penis?
Yeah, because it's like that straight line, and then their legs are always like halfway through, so it looks like a tripod. Every single one I draw. I failed art in like the 3rd grade, so it's just always stuck with me that I suck at it.
Listen, I am not an artist. My son, a very good visual artist. I am not a visual artist. I will say, being able to adjust the penis level of the stick figures does seem like an easy fix. Like, once you know that about yourself, that you can't draw a stick figure without a visible penis, it does seem to me like once you know that, you should be able to fix that one. At some point, this feels like it's on you.
Yeah, I just don't draw that many. And, by the time you remember, you just haven't drawn them in a while.
Wow. Huge revelation. Don't forget to sign up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus at beautifulanonymous.com.